Let's talk about level 6 qualifications in interpreting. There are 3 qualifications out there: the DPI, the DPSI, and the DCI. Some have been around for a long time, some have been around for a shorter time. The most important thing to note is that they get you to the same destination. The journey is slightly different. And I've got some opinions on both qualifications, and my opinions might be deemed controversial, but they are reality. And I think what we'll do is we'll kick off with the DCI, the Level 6 Diploma in Community Interpreting. This qualification is a coursework-based qualification. What that means is there is no exam. It's not a pass or fail exercise. Within the qualification itself are 10 modules, and it's a dedicated legal pathway. What I mean by that is ISL's version is a dedicated legal pathway. Other providers of the DCI may integrate into their pathway non-legal settings. We don't do that, and the reason we don't do that is that many people who take the Level 6 DCI want the same assignment opportunities as those who've taken a DPI and a DPSI. And in order for anybody doing a DCI to get straight into working in legal settings, police settings, they need to have completed the police, prison and probation, and draft written translation modules associated with the assignment, associated with the qualification. Within each module, there are 2, more likely 3 assignments. And these assignments are not easy. The whole premise of completing these assignments is for the learner to demonstrate their awareness and understanding of the environments that they're going to be performing within. What that means is the people, the processes, the procedures, the nuances, the differences between court systems, various things like that. Plus glossary development. In addition to the assignments, there are also practical assessments. The practical assessments are exactly the same as those contained in a DPSI exam. They are marked to exactly the same criteria and level as the DPSI exam. So the DCI is effectively a DPSI exam plus a demonstration of theoretical understanding of the settings in which you're going to be applying your services. In conjunction with that, it's really important to note that, is it possible to fail this qualification? It's possible to keep failing units of the qualification. Qualifications where you're assessed over, assessed continually, allow you to receive feedback. So let's just say you submit an assignment, it's not quite right. You would have a discussion with your tutor around the gaps that have caused the tutor to not apply a pass to the assignment. And the learner has to go away and rewrite the assignment, and with whatever advice or guidance they are issued, produce another assignment that meets the assessment criteria. And they can keep doing that. People might take, twice to do that, 3 times at the very most. But they can keep reproducing an assignment until they meet the assessment criteria. The same applies to a practical assessment of skills. There are a number of opportunities within the qualification to demonstrate your skill set. Admittedly, people don't necessarily meet the criteria first time round, but they get additional opportunities throughout the qualification to demonstrate their competency. And if they can't demonstrate their competency, they will have to undertake this practical assessment again and again and again until they get it right. So, in a nutshell, what the DCI does is prepare somebody for the theoretical nature and practical skills required to work in a level 6 environment. Let's move on to DPSI. DPSI is an examination only of somebody's consecutive interpreting skills, simultaneous interpreting skills, sight translation to and from English, and draft written translation to and from English. Same as the DCI, but it's an exam and you can pass or fail it. And it traditionally was the only level 6 option, therefore it has a fan base as being the test associated with level 6 qualifications. But times have moved on. There are different qualifications out there that are as good, if not a little bit better, for reasons that I'll discuss, than undertaking a DPSI. To support your the development of your knowledge and skills for the DPSI exam, there are various levels of support packages out there, some offered by ourselves, some offered by other training organisations, and this can range from one-to-one support to self-led support, or somebody might just do their own research on whatever they feel that the examination is going to put in front of them. The DPI is a Metropolitan Police interpreting assessment, diploma in police interpreting. And this is purely for police. Again, it's an examination option only, similar to the DPSI, pass or fail, go do your own research, various support packages available. So they're your 3 options. You can either take exams or you can undertake a coursework qualification. So here is my opinion. Somebody who has been a fantastic community interpreter, somebody who's provided services for the NHS, Department for Work and Pensions, mental health settings, children's services, so on and so forth, but hasn't worked in a legal environment, or hasn't got a legal background, or isn't familiar with the court setting, the police setting, so on and so forth. If they were to study themselves what they feel is the right stuff to study to undertake a DPSI exam, and they pass, they can walk into a custody suite and feel pretty out of their depth or not experienced. They could be dealing with an offence of a sexual nature where they've chosen not to revise that detail, that process, that procedure, and they were assessed in the DPSI on drugs offences, which is completely different. And the process, the terminology, what the interpreter will actually see in an offence of a sexual nature versus a drug offence is completely different. And it is fair to say that some interpreters or anybody might not be prepared to see or to experience what they would have to experience with certain offence types. The custody suite can be a grotty, unpleasant, intimidating, smelly, loud, unforgiving place. And the courts, working in a Crown Court, the personnel involved is different to a magistrate's court. And we're only scratching the surface here by just giving a couple of examples of some of the things that a person who self-prepares for a DPSI may choose not to, through no fault of their own, but they may choose not to revise these things because A, they don't have to. The tests are a test of written translation skills, sight translation, and consecutive and simultaneous interpreting, not what a custody suite looks like, what the courts are like, what different procedures are associated with different offences. So it's fair to say that somebody who hasn't done a DCI or has a solid understanding of all the theoretical things and processes and people and procedures and paperwork associated with the legal process from offence through to conviction is at a similar level of experience as somebody who's a great linguist, who is bilingual, knowledge of a legal environment, but doesn't have a DPSI qualification. And this is where, certain portions of the interpreting community, for whatever reason, look unfavourably towards the DCI. And we've heard that, people think that ISL give this qualification away. Have that conversation with somebody who's just worked for 11 or 12 months to produce all the assignments and the assessments, and ask them if we give that away. And it's a lack of understanding, really. But the DCI prepares you with the knowledge and the skills you need to work in these environments. And that's why it's a very, very useful qualification. It's recognised by NPSI, the National Register of Public Service Interpreters. The only organisation that is perhaps in the process of recognising the DCI is the Home Office. If you have a DCI qualification, you will need to be registered with the National Register of Public Service Interpreters to work as part of the Home Office Bank of Interpreters. We are in dialogue, and have been for the last 12 months, waiting for senior management within the Home Office to acknowledge the qualification. But they're saying if NRPSI recognise it, then we'll recognise it, but we won't recognise it without an NRPSI stamp. So that's the only, it's not even a negative thing. I mean, being part of NRPSI, if that organisation for you has the values and principles that you believe in, then it's a good thing to join them, no doubt about it, and many, many people do. So the intention of this video was to really give you a transparent viewpoint on the qualifications at level 6, so that you can make an informed decision, work out how prepared you want to be before going into the environment. And ultimately, if you're just somebody who doesn't like exams, then a level 6 DCI might be the route that you take. Hope you found that useful. If you are a DCI student or a DPSI student, or You may be a DPSI student who encountered personal challenges, or found it challenging to. You might have come into situations that you didn't have an understanding of when you first passed your qualification. So provide some advice and guidance in the comments below, and we'd love to hear what your experiences were. Thanks for listening.